I got a comment on my latest Let's Play episode asking for a video with all of my tips and tricks for detailing in Cities Skylines 2, so here we are. While I don't believe I'm the best detailer in the game, I definitely think I have a few useful tips that I can share with you. This video will be formatted in a way where we go from completely vanilla detailing into detailing with developer mode, and then I'll show off a couple of mods that can help make things a little bit easier. So strap in and let's get started. Tip number 1, trees and bushes are your friend, especially if you're looking to play completely vanilla. They're basically the only friend you have, so place them liberally. They're great for filling in empty spaces where your zoning got a little sideways, or just for making it look like your suburb was built with an existing forest in mind. While it can be difficult to figure out what's going to look good once the trees have fully grown if you're doing very specific detailing, this is something that mostly comes with practice. For reference, here is what all of the trees look like when they're fully grown. Tip 2. While we're on the topic of trees, when I'm using the tree brush tool, I like to place my largest trees first, and then move from biggest to smallest. I've found this gives me the most even distribution in the different types of trees, as the smaller trees fill in the gaps left behind by the larger ones placed before them. In Pandemonium, for instance, I'm mainly using a mix of oak, spruce, and pine, so I'm placing the oak first, then the pines, and finishing with the spruce trees. Occasionally, I'll add some poplars too at the very end. This is what it looks like going from largest to smallest, and this is smallest to largest. It really makes a big difference, especially if you don't want to be constantly changing the strength slider. Tip 3. If you want your foliage to be more dense, bushes are the answer. They don't need nearly as much room and can be butted up against your trees really closely, so use these to fill out areas where you want that little bit of extra detail or ground cover. Tip number 4. Rows of bushes look really nice as hedges. Just make sure before you place each bush, you right-click to rotate the asset a random amount so that the bushes don't all look like clones of each other, unless of course that's what you're going for. These can range from butting right up against each other to be super separated. Both can look really good in different circumstances. Tip number 5. Add pedestrian paths and use the tips I mentioned previously to make them look much more manicured and maintained. Add rows of bushes or trees and turn them into a miniature green space in your city that your citizens will naturally wander through and enjoy. The power of detailing is really unlocked once you go ahead and enable developer mode. If you don't know how to do that, I'll link to a video in the description explaining how to get access to it and how to use it. That leads us right into tip number 6, the Surface Painter tool. This is an absolute game changer. Find any of the surfaces in this menu, which can be opened via the tab key by default, and start drawing the same way you would with specialized industry. You can add pavement, grass, tiles, and a whole lot more. I'd really recommend experimenting with the textures you like in here. As for where to add them, they're great for laying down manicured lawns in your custom parks, or just for extending the concrete on buildings that aren't at complete right angles to your roads. Tip number 7, we have the Asset Picker. You can search the entire library of assets included in the game and place them freely. There's a ton in here, but some of my go-tos are park benches, table settings, hedges, fences, concrete barriers, and parking decals. If you're building custom parks, these are an absolute must in my opinion. And if you've used the Surface Painter tool to extend the concrete by a building, try adding some dumpsters or a small little seating area where people might go for a smoke on their break from work. Tip number 8, invisible pedestrian paths can be used if you want your citizens to be able to walk through your custom parks without having to draw in actual paths for them to walk on. This tool works the same way as any of the other network tools, but in this case, it doesn't actually draw in the path. It just tells the game that your citizens can walk there, and it helps to make your custom parks feel a little less empty and depressing. Just be careful with these. I haven't yet figured out a way to delete them, so if you know how to do that, let me know in the comments. My next 2 tips will be mods that I'm using in my game to help with detailing. While they aren't strictly necessary, they're a huge help in getting things done quickly and accurately. So with that, tip number 9 is the Only Adult Trees mod by Optimus Code. This is a simple mod that just makes it so that your greenery skips the years of time it takes for your trees to grow. While it's not instant, it's close, and can be sped up by hovering over the tree you want to grow so that it updates. This is a huge help when you're trying to figure out what size tree you want to place in an area and want to instantly see all the hard work of your detailing. And finally, tip number 10 is the Line Tool Light mod by Algernon. This is basically just the prop line tool that we know and love from Cities Skylines 1 and allows you to quickly and easily place evenly spaced trees or props in lines, curves, and circles, making detailing those long stretches of road so much faster. If you think there's any tips I missed, or if you just have some great tips of your own, leave them down below in the comments. And if this video helped you or inspired you to do some more detailing in your own cities, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this one. And finally, if you'd like to see these tips put into practice, make sure you go and check out my Pandemonium Let's Play series. I'll leave links to everything in the description below. But until next time, happy building.